everyone, and welcome. Welcome to what is a very exciting cooking class as part of my Christmas special this year, chosen by you, actually. You are the reason why I am doing this cooking class today, because I went live probably a couple of hours ago now and asked the question, what cooking class would you like to see tonight? And you guys chose my 20-minute Christmas cake. So we're doing it. We are doing it for you guys. I've got a few tips and tricks to share with you, and stay to the end, because not only am I going to show you how to make a Christmas cake in 20 minutes, which is ridiculous, right? But I'm also going to give you a few ideas on how you can repurpose Christmas cake. Because the recipe is so simple to do, I think this is probably going to be the fifth one that I've actually done, maybe even the sixth when I think about it, because they're that easy to do. And so I've got Christmas cake squirreled away for when we have family arriving very, very soon. Because yes, of course, like Christmas cake, this cake does last really well. And it does improve the longer it sits. So nothing changes there except for the cooking time. Now, the reason I wanted to create a cake, a Christmas cake, is that I have my super popular, gone viral for years, was recently shared on Prevention magazine as one of the must-eats this Christmas, or must-makes, must-eat, is my Christmas cake. So this is my traditional Christmas cake that takes ideally overnight to allow the raisins and the sultanas and the dried fruit to steep. And then you bake it in the oven for about 4 to 5 hours. So to make a cake in 20 minutes, and I'm really, as a Christmas cake aficionado, as someone who really, really, really likes Christmas cake since I was a little kid, I'm really happy with this 20-minute one, I have to say. And I'm kind of like, will I actually go back to that 4 to 5 hour long Christmas cake? Look, I probably will, because there is some subtleties, absolutely. But it's amazing what you can do in 20 minutes. Yes, you can turn it either into a cake, like have it like a normal Christmas cake, or you can have it hot as a pudding. If you want to know where my traditional slow cooked recipe is, then it's in my Treat Yourself Healthy cookbook, which we currently have on sale in our store, Bridget's.shop. So you just go into Google and you go www.bridgets.shop, and it will take you to my website where you can purchase your own copy of my cookbook, which is on sale for pretty much handling charges only. And you've obviously got to pay for the postage. It's $5 Australian a book, and we'll send it anywhere in the world. And you can obviously order more than 2 copies. I wish I had a copy in front of me now. It's around the corner. I could go and grab it if you want me to. I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it later on. Maybe someone might give me a copy. Maybe someone who might be listening in the other room might give me a copy, because I've got them just around the bookshelves are just around the corner. But wow, isn't that magical? Look at that. So this is my book, Treat Yourself Healthy. Yes, it's a hardcover book, as in it's a hardcover. I produced this about 1.5 years ago. It is the only cookbook I currently have available for sale in hardcover. The brand new cookbook, Bridget's Healthy Delicious. We're still waiting for that to land in Australia so I can start sending it out to everyone who's bought it via pre-sales. That book is, of course, ready for you guys if you want to pre-order my book, which is all Boost Camp approved recipes. There's over 250 recipes in the new cookbook, Bridget's Healthy Delicious. We are looking at a January landing in Australia, which means that I can begin to post it out to every single one of you who has ordered via pre-sales. And thank you to every single one who's done. Again, if you want either Bridget's Healthy Delicious, which has a copy, and I'll show you the photo of the traditional, because it is possibly, quite possibly my most famous recipe that I've ever produced. Every year it goes nuts. Every year it turns up. That's the traditional. So that's 4 to 5 hours, right? So there you go. And it's in this cookbook along with a couple hundred other recipes for you guys. It's in this book, and you can get this now, $5 Australian plus postage, delivered to you. I might even turn up before Christmas if you order it now. If not, please order my cookbook, Bridget's Healthy Delicious, as it's currently available via pre-sale. I'm trying to get my words out, via pre-sale. And we have an amazing competition running for anyone who orders via pre-sale as well. So we've got an awesome competition. If you order the pre-sale, it's cheap too when you order the pre-sale. The price will go up once the book lands. It's Bridget's Healthy Delicious, and we're looking at a January date to be delivered to your house. Isn't that exciting? But this is available now. All right, so let's get in. Ooh, nearly sorted off the counter there. Let's get into the recipe for today. So 20-minute Christmas cake. I've talked longer than 20 minutes already. You go, give me the cake, Bridge. If you want the recipe, you got to stay for the other stuff. All right, easy recipe, 20 minutes. And I mean from start to finish. So this is start, yeah? Now we've started. So in my pot here, I've got 300 grams, which is 10.5 ounces of dried fruit. Now, I like to pick my own fruit. I do it at like a in New Zealand, I think the equivalent is a bin in. Here in Australia, we have quite a few options that we can go and pick the amounts that we want. I prefer to do it that way because the fruit tends to be organic, and the fruit is generally also sugar-free. Has to be. You don't want to. There should be no added sugar in your dried fruit, even though some. I don't know why, because this is sugar anyway, right? So this is a treat. It's just why it comes out only at Christmas time, because there's still sugar naturally occurring in the dried fruit. But of course, what we're doing is we're avoiding having any more added sugar, which for some strange reason they do. So I do pick mine from Source Foods, is where I go to in Australia. Big shout out to Source Foods. They are an amazing company. They really they're very awesome. I'm not sponsored by them, but they are very good. They have organics. They have all the spices. You can buy a gram of this and 5 grams of that. And of course, they have a good selection when it comes to dried fruit as well. So I've got 300 grams straight in my pot. As well as that, do I need that yet? No. As well as that, I'm also going to be putting in some dried plums, aka prunes. And prunes are wonderful because they are, if you've ever heard of plum pudding, this is what makes plum pudding, right? But not many of us use it, which is weird. Like you don't often see it in fruit cakes or Christmas cakes. So I like to add the prunes because, let's be honest, we are adding a good source of fiber here. But we're also adding massive flavor. And, it's almost like a caramelization from the prunes, which is just wonderful. They're so rich and they're so moist. And they really do bring a nice goodness to this dish. So 100 grams of our prunes are going in there. These are Australian prunes as well that I'm using. And I'm just cutting them up roughly, just because you don't want whole pieces of prune in your Christmas cake. So 100 grams, we're just going to pop those straight into our pot here. In fact, we're going to keep on adding ingredients into our pot. And the next one we're going to be adding is a little bit more fiber. This is our sweet as fiber syrup available from our store. Now we have a prebiotic. By adding this is now a prebiotic, and I'm adding 1.5 tablespoons. Now this recipe will give you a decent sized cake. It's probably going to be, it's not quite an individual. You can make them smaller, but you're probably looking at between 4 to 6 serves as a cake, maybe 4 as a pudding, or 6 as a pudding, depending on how hungry your guests are or how hungry you are. But you can actually make them into individual small ones as well. So 1.5 tablespoons of the sweet as fiber syrup. I'm also adding in some of our zero as sugar. Again, 1.5 tablespoons is going in there. Let's add just a pinch of our mineral salt is also going in there. Going to balance out the flavors. Got to have a little bit of sodium in there as well. Let's add some baking soda. So baking soda is really important. It's going to help to develop the color here. And we're adding in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Soda, not powder, baking soda. And now let's move on to what I believe, aside from the prunes, really gives this fruit cake something special and spectacular. This is what makes it Christmas. Well, it's all Christmas, isn't it? But when it comes to, and of course I'm talking about spices, when it comes to the spices, this is really what makes the house smell like Christmas as this is cooking. It is quite fantastic. And here's the cool thing about spices. I've got mixed spice here, which you can use pudding spice, you can use pumpkin spice, just a sort of a nice blend of spices, 3/4 of a teaspoon. And the thing about spices is, yes, the flavor improves massively, which is really important. We need to add something to our cake. But spices were seen as such a luxury when these styles of puddings were really popular. So spices used to be literally for the wealthy only, because they were very, very expensive. 3/4 of a teaspoon, by the way, of cinnamon, very, very expensive. And so what we're getting is we take spices for granted now. You can get them in every single store all around the world. Half a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg as well goes in there. But spices used to be extremely, extremely expensive. So they were only bought out once a year, usually at Christmas time, added to something like a pudding or a Christmas cake, because throughout the year they were just too expensive to add. So we take spices for granted, but my goodness, they used to be the luxury item on your Christmas table, most definitely. So go crazy. Be a little bit heavy-handed if you want to when it comes to these types of spices as well, because the flavor is amazing. So I'm going to pop my pot onto my scales now, because I want to measure out the liquid component. Now I'm actually using my own homemade ginger ale that I make, because now I'm adding ginger. But if you don't have it, that's fine. You can just use water. So we're using 100 mils of liquid water, or in my case, homemade ginger ale. 100 mils is 3.5 ounces. We also want to add in a little bit of apple cider vinegar as well. Again, this is going to help with the color formation of as the cake is cooking. And what I like to do is I like to add this 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. I like to add it straight on top of my baking soda. Can you hear the sizzle? That's the now the baking soda has been activated, which is exactly what we want. So now that we're at this stage, you can just go ahead and give it a little bit of a mix through, and then you're going to pop it onto the stove top, and you're going to let it boil for about 7 minutes, or until the liquid has evaporated. Yeah, 7 minutes or until the liquid has evaporated. So that's my next stage, my next step here. That's going to be brought to the boil. And here's one I prepared earlier. As you can see, no liquid left, right? No liquid left. At this stage, you can keep going and you can make the cake. But if you really want to develop the flavor overnight, it's no longer a 20-minute cake, by the way, you can pop this, cool this down, and pop this into the fridge overnight, and the flavors will develop even further. It is a good idea before you move on to this next stage that you do pop this into the freezer just for a couple of minutes, just for a couple, because you don't want to scramble the egg, because we are adding egg next. So this is going back onto the scales, pot and all. It has been sitting there as I've been talking, so it's a little bit cool. I'm going to be adding 1 large egg, which is a size 7, by the way. 1 large egg goes in there. And I'm also going to be adding in some almond flour, but you can use any sort of nut or seed flour of your choosing. And I'm going to be adding in 60 grams. I'm just making sure it's right. Yes, it is 60 grams, which is 2 ounces of our almond flour is now going in there. So as you guys can see, this is, of course, grain-free, gluten-free, refined sugar-free, which is fabulous. Hey, what are you doing? There we go. All right, 60 grams. Refined sugar-free, dairy-free, all the frees, but definitely not flavor-free. It's a good flavor. It's a great flavor, especially for us Christmas cake lovers, right? All right, so that is done. We're just going to give that a bit of a mix through, giving it a good blend. And yeah, you're pretty much done. Oh, I did forget one thing to tell you to add. One thing I forgot. So I've just seen it sitting here and I forgot it. In here, I've already got this in here, so I don't have to worry about doing it. But before this goes on the boil, I forgot to say you need to add in 50 grams of apple sauce or apple puree. I make my own. I literally cut up apples. I don't even peel them. I cut them up, and then I put just a little bit of water in the pot up to here, and I bring it to the boil, and I let them cook until they're nice and soft. Blend them up, skins and all, does not matter. Blend them up, and then you just put your 50 grams of apple puree in there. This is before you bring it to the boil. Don't forget that step. I do apologize. Lucky I saw it, right? But That's already in here. I already know that. That's in here. So when you're at this stage, you got all your ingredients in there. Take yourself up a microwavable bowl. And like I said, this is a microwave recipe. If you want the traditional recipe, you don't like cooking in microwaves, you need my book, you need my recipe for the traditional Christmas cake, which is in Treat Yourself Healthy. But this is going in the microwave. That's why it's 20 minutes. Not going to apologize. Not going to apologize for it. If you don't like microwaves, go with the traditional. I've got you covered. So pop that into a microwavable bowl. I like to use this size, nothing too big, so I do get a nice kind of shaped cake. As you can see, that is looking like a decent looking cake, isn't it? Isn't it just looking decent? Fantastic, right? Now what you would do is you'd pop on over to your microwave on high, and you want to cook this in the microwave, uncovered by the way. You want to cook this for start with 6 minutes, have a look at it. If it still looks like it's a little bit damp, go for 7 minutes. And if you look at it again, still a little bit damp, you might have to put it on for 8 minutes. It depends on the strength of your microwave. My microwave is 1,000 watts and it takes 7.5 minutes for this size, right? For this particular size there. So after 7.5 minutes, your cake will be done. You pull it out of the microwave, and here's one that I prepared earlier. You can kind of see that this one I actually cooked, it's wider because I cooked it in a wider bowl, in a larger bowl, but I want to show you this. Right, this is after you take it out of the microwave, you let it cool in the bowl for a couple of minutes, and then you can turn it out onto a wire rack and let it cool completely, which I have done. But you can see just how moist and fantastic that cake is, and that is a 20-minute Christmas cake. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It is such a gorgeous recipe. I've already bitten some off. I couldn't wait. But it is such a fabulous recipe for 20 minutes. It's like bang for your buck. And here's the thing, right? And this is why I want to create this. It is so hot in Australia right now. Like, we've had some of the most humid days possible, and I'm in the kitchen, and I don't want to be in the kitchen with the oven on for 4 or 5 hours. I just don't. I want to do things that require less cooking or heating involved, because it is just way too hot to be spending all that time traditionally like we used to in the kitchen. So I'm in for the speed is key for me, but I don't want to miss out on the fabulousness. I don't want to miss out on the tradition. And I really honestly think that this is such an awesome workaround. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Let me tell you, I really am. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I will go there and I'll be in front of the fire and I'll be drinking, Bridget's healthy eggnog and baking Christmas cakes for 4 or 5 hours and big turkeys, and I'll do all that sort of stuff. But this year, no, because it's too hot. So let me show you how I like to serve this. I mean, of course, you can just serve this by cutting it and serving it just like that. And you just eat it like a Christmas cake. Like, I've been storing this. This one's been in the fridge now for, I think it's been in the fridge for about 3 weeks. About 3 weeks it's been in the fridge. So it lasts really well. It lasts like a Christmas cake. And of course, you can just serve it like a cake. But what are other ways that you can use it? Because it's not just like that. Of course, you can serve it warm with one of my dairy-free custards, and then you've got pudding, which is very excited. You could serve it as a pudding, almost straight out of the microwave. You just let it sit for about probably a couple of minutes, and then you could have it as a hot pudding. But it's hot in Australia right now, so I'm going for more of these easy to prepare ideas. So here's my idea. I'm calling this the Christmas cake board, right? Because what's stopping you from actually serving it almost like a Christmas cake, like nibbly, almost like antipasto or something where you just graze. It's like a little grazing board. So on this little grazing board, I'm not sure if you can see. Firstly, I have my ginger dough cookies, which we did a healthy cooking class of this a couple of days ago. You just need to go back onto Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on Facebook, into my video section, and you'll find that video, and you can make these raw, gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, 100% plant-based ginger dough cookies. You can make them into balls. You can cut them in cookie cutters. They're just absolutely wonderful. I've also got on here some lovely strawberries. I've got some raspberries as well. I've got some oranges, which go really nicely with Christmas cake, I have to say. In here, I've just got a little bit of whipped coconut cream in case you wanted it with coconut cream, like more of the pudding. Of course, you could have a bit of custard on here. You could serve it with coconut yogurt if you wanted to. And if you're wondering what these little slices are here, I like to serve my Christmas cake with a really good vintage cheddar cheese. Now, it is all the rage in certain parts of the UK. I believe that's a northern thing. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe that that's a northern thing, that they like to serve their Christmas cake with cheese. I totally get it. I'm all there for that. It tastes fabulous. It tastes absolutely fabulous. I also like to put just a sliver of grass-fed butter on my Christmas cake too, which is just really nice. But you could do, you know, this sort of thing with your cake. So you're making it stretch, you know, further and longer, and you're giving people wonderful options on how they can eat this Christmas cake with all these beautiful. You could even serve it as part of a cheese platter if you wanted to. You could have, you know, some healthy crackers on there, lots of different types of delicious cheeses, and of course this as your fruit component would be your fruit cake. But here's some other ways you can think of apart from this wonderful Christmas cake board that we have here. You could also consider things like this. So I like to crumble this up and put it through one of my healthy ice creams. In fact, it's part of the Boost Camp recipes is my healthy Christmas cake, Chrissy cake ice cream pops, which is just fabulous. You could serve it, as I was saying, as part of a cheese board, which would be really, really nice. You could crumble it up and make it almost into balls like that and serve it as Christmas cake pops, put it on a popsicle, cover it in chocolate, or even just on its own as a pudding ball, or covered in white chocolate to make it look like a little baby pudding ball. You could serve it, as I was saying, on ice cream. You could serve it as part of a bread pudding. So instead of traditional bread, you could use this instead of bread pudding. You could also put this and crumble it through a festive parfait. So like a coconut yogurt berry parfait as well would be absolutely wonderful. And you could also serve it as a base for a baked Alaska. All those things with this wonderful 20-minute Christmas cake. How amazing is it? I know. Merry Christmas, everyone. This is my early Christmas present to you guys. I hope you are enjoying our little series so far. We've still got quite a few little cooking classes to bring you before Christmas. Keep an eye out on Facebook. Make sure to subscribe to my channel on YouTube as well. We'll be reposting these videos for you guys to watch. Until next time, be well, be safe, and Merry Christmas.